Good evening, everyone. Today is April 22nd, 2021. This is the virtual public meeting for the Riverland Road Mobility Improvement Project. This is a U.S. Department of Transportation Investment Generating Economic Recovery, TIGER grant. It's part of the Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization, MPO Complete Streets Design Build. This is for Riverland Road Southwest 27th Avenue from State Road 7, US 441 to State Road 842, Broward Boulevard. The financial project ID is 440746-5-5201. At this time, if we have our commissioners, could they raise their hands and introduce themselves to the audience tonight, please? We have Ben Sorensen.
All right, thank you. Ben Sorensen here. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, FDOT, for your leadership on this, and the MPO, and working together, and look forward to partnering on this. So thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Do we have any other commissioners with us? I only see Ben.
Or elected officials?
I don't see anyone else raising their hand. At this time, we'll like to introduce Ricardo Gutierrez with the Broward MPO. Ricardo, you're on mute.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Ricardo Gutierrez. I'm the Mobility Program Manager at the Broward MPO. Just want to talk to you or let you know what the MPO is. The MPO is a federal agency established by federal law to plan and fund transportation here in Broward. We fund bicycle lanes, sidewalks, anything that's really related to transportation, capacity improvements, and also transit. And we also influence the expenditure of state and federal funds, because a lot of the projects that you see happening now have to be identified in one of our plans. We're governed by the MPO board, who's made up of elected officials representing all 31 municipalities, Broward County, the Broward County School Board, and also the South Florida Regional Transportation Authority, who actually operate our Tri-Rail commuter service. To identify plans or deficiencies in our transportation network, we typically traditionally develop plans, conduct studies, establish initiatives, and establish programs. One of the latest initiatives that we established back in 2013 is this Complete Streets Initiative. What this priority on this initiative is really to look at people, how to move safely and efficiently. I apologize for my that's my word things here. How do we move them efficiently through our transportation network, and to get them to different places in the mode of their choice. And one of the reasons why we do this is because when we plan the roads for everybody, for people who walk, who bike, who take transit, or even drive, we create safer streets for everybody. We create healthy communities because people can walk and bike to different destinations in their communities. There's also economic development. These projects have been known to actually revitalize their corridors or areas, and also creates a sense of community. There's more benefits to Complete Streets, but we won't get into those today. You can see our mission and vision there. One of the things to help us implement these improvements in 2016, we did apply for federal funds, and we did apply together with 5 municipalities, including the city of Fort Lauderdale. And we were actually awarded some federal funds to do this type of improvements. So this is why we're here today, to talk about the improvements along Riverland Road and 27th Avenue. So with that, I'll be here to answer any questions that you might have later on, and thank you for the opportunity to participate.
This evening's agenda will include the following: introductions, meeting format, non-discrimination policy, rules of engagement, project location and project improvements, project overview, traffic impacts, community outreach, questions and answers, and contact information. Introductions. The project partners are the Florida Department of Transportation, the Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization, and the City of Fort Lauderdale. The construction team consists of Eric Namadi, PE, FDOT Construction Project Manager, David Romano, PE, Project Administrator, HDR, and Justina Hicklin, Community Outreach Specialist, the Valerian Group. The design team includes Tuck Lee, PE, FDOT Design Project Manager, Alejandro Leon, PE, Design Build Project Manager, A&P Consulting Transportation Engineers, Andrew Parita, Landscape Designer, Miller Legg, and William Moeller, CA, Arborist, Biologist, Miller Legg. The construction contractor is Elliot Akel, Project Manager, Weekly Asphalt Paving Incorporated. With the City of Fort Lauderdale are Karen Warfel, Transportation Planning Program Manager for the City of Fort Lauderdale, and Mark Williams, Urban City Forester, City of Fort Lauderdale. With the Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization are Ricardo Gutierrez, Mobility Program Manager, Broward MPO, and Buffy Sanders, Principal Planner, Broward MPO. Meeting format. Before we start the presentation, I will share a few items regarding this meeting's format. Due to the state of emergency declared by Governor DeSantis in Executive Order 2052 as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is authorized to be held virtually and not in person. There will be a presentation and questions and answers from 5 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. and 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. There will be an unguided slideshow from 5:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. We are using the GoToWebinar meeting platform for the meeting. There is no cost to the public to log in or dial in to participate in the meeting. On your computer or device screen, you should see something that looks like this in the upper right corner. To listen to the meeting, your computer or device speakers are selected by default. If you prefer to listen by phone, select telephone in the audio pane of the control panel and dial in using the information displayed. Public notice for this virtual public meeting, including information on how to access the meeting platform, was provided via U.S. Postal Mail to property owners and tenants in the project area, on social media feeds, on the district's website, and on the Florida Administrative Register. Non-discrimination policy. At this point, I will read the FDOT non-discrimination policy. The Florida Department of Transportation complies with various non-discrimination laws and regulations, including Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Public participation is solicited without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. For questions or concerns, you may contact either the Florida Department of Transportation, District 4, Title VI Coordinator, Sharon Singhayan, 3400 West Commercial Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33309. Telephone number 954-777-4190. Email sharon.singhayan@dot.state.fl.us, or the Tallahassee office, Florida Department of Transportation, State Title VI Coordinator, Jacqueline Paramore, 605 Swanee Street, MS 65, Tallahassee, Florida, 32399. Telephone number 850-414-4753. Email jacqueline.paramore@dot.state.fl.us. Rules of engagement. Before the presentation starts, I will briefly go over the rules of engagement that were established for this virtual public meeting. This virtual public meeting is being recorded. If you experience technical difficulties, please contact GoToWebinar support at 1-833-851-8340. All attendees will remain muted throughout this virtual public meeting. At the end of the presentation, attendees are also welcome to submit any questions or comments using the GoToWebinar platform's question panel, and a member of the team will respond during the question and answer portion. To request to speak, click the raise hand button on the control panel and unmute your microphone when your name is called. At this time, I will leave you with the construction project administrator, Mr. David Romano.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everybody. This here is slide number 14. We're going to discuss the project location and project improvements. Next slide, please. The enhancements are taking place along Riverland Road, Southwest 27th Avenue, from State Road 7, US 441, to Broward Boulevard, State Road 842, all within the city of Fort Lauderdale. The purpose of the project is to create enhanced bicycle, pedestrian, and public transportation access. Construction will begin May 10th of this year, and our anticipated completion is summer of 2022 at a construction cost of $5.8 million. The contractor that will be performing the improvements is Weekly Asphalt Paving, Inc. Next slide, please. Slide number 16, the project improvements consist of widening the outside northbound lane from US 441 State Road 7 to Tortugas Lane in order to accommodate a 5-foot buffered bicycle lane, as well as from Tortugas Lane to Davie Boulevard. We are also widening the outside lanes to accommodate a 5-foot buffered bicycle lane and a 3-foot unpaved shoulders. We will be performing driveway tie-in reconstruction as needed, and repurposing the outside lanes from Davie Boulevard to State Road 842 Broward Boulevard to accommodate 8.5-foot buffered bicycle lanes. Additionally, we'll be installing traffic signal mast arms and pedestrian signalization located at the mid-block crossings at Southwest 34th Terrace and just north of Southwest 11th Court. We'll be installing sidewalks, signage, curb and gutter, performing milling and resurfacing, and adding pavement markings, including internally illuminated raised pavement markings. Next slide, please. At this time, I'd like to introduce Alejandro Leon. He's the design build engineer of record to go over the project overview.
All right, next slide, please. So this is a view, an existing view of Southwest 27th Avenue, north of Davie Boulevard, between Davie Boulevard and Broward Boulevard. As you can see, the existing corridor is a 5-lane undivided facility with a 2-way left turn in the middle and 2 lanes in each direction. Next slide. Within this section of the project, the outside lanes will be repurposed to buffered bicycle lanes, and the road will still remain as a 3-lane undivided facility with a 2-way left turn lane in the middle. Next slide, please. This is a night view of the same corridor, meant to accentuate where the internally illuminated RPMs will be placed in the buffer. Next slide. Slide number 21. This is a view of Riverland Road, typical that's between State Road 7 and Davie Boulevard. It's a 2-lane undivided facility with discontinuous sidewalks along this corridor and no bicycle lanes. Next slide. This is a rendering of the proposed conditions. The road will still remain a 2-lane undivided facility, and bicycle lanes will be installed. 5-foot buffer bicycle lanes will be installed in each direction. And then sidewalk will be installed throughout on the corridor, making the northern sidewalk. So when you're going from State Road 7 towards Davie Boulevard, the sidewalk on the left would be continuous the entire way. Next slide, please. Again, this is to show the internally illuminated RPMs that will be placed on this section of the corridor in the buffer between the travel lane and the bicycle lane. Next slide. Slide 24. This is more of a pictorial, so it's clear to see. The first section of Riverland Road from US 441 State Road 7 to Tortugas Lane is currently a curved and guttered section, and it will remain curved and guttered with 10-foot travel lanes, 5-foot buffered bicycle lanes, and sidewalks on both sides of the corridor, 7 feet on the right-hand side and 6 foot on the left-hand side. Next. Slide 25. North of Tortugas, or beyond Tortugas Lane, between Tortuga Lane and 31st Avenue, there will be sidewalk on both sides of the corridor. As you can see, we have shifted to a open shoulder, non-curved and gutter section. Travel lanes will remain at 10 feet with the 5-foot bicycle lanes in each direction. Next slide. Slide 26. So as you can see, we're providing the continuous sidewalk on the left-hand side of the corridor. The roadway will continue with 2 10-foot lanes, 1 lane in each direction, and 5-foot buffer bicycle lanes, 3 foot on paved shoulders. Next slide, please. This is the bridge, a typical over the bridge on the South North New River. We're removing the curbs that are currently within the bridge and providing a 6-foot sidewalk on one side where we're placing a continuous sidewalk to be able to maintain the bicycle lanes through this section. Next slide. And then this is a typical on the section between Davie Boulevard and Broward Boulevard, where we will be repurposing the outside lane to provide the 8.5-foot buffered bicycle lanes and providing 12-foot lanes in each direction and 15-foot two-way left turn lane. Within this area, in general, the existing 7-foot outside sidewalks will be remaining. Next slide, please. I will now pass it on to Eric Namati, construction manager.
Hi again, good evening. Next slide, please. So traffic impacts for this project, we can expect lane closures to occur between 9 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. Sunday through Saturday. All left turn lanes will be maintained during construction. Access to emergency services, businesses, and residents will be maintained at all times. Next slide, please. I'd like to introduce Justina now.
Project updates via email and door-to-door as needed. Traffic impacts will be included in the Florida Department of Transportation District 4 Communications Manager's weekly traffic impact press release. The project team will meet with city and county officials, community groups, and property owners regarding project updates as needed. All project updates will be posted to the District 4 website and provided to the City of Fort Lauderdale's Public Involvement Office. Questions and answers. At this time, we will go ahead and start the question and answer portion. All comments and questions submitted through these options are part of the public record for this virtual public meeting and will be reviewed by the department. Attendees are welcome to submit questions or comments using the GoToWebinar question panel.
Good evening. My name is Justina Hicklin, and I will be the Community Outreach Specialist for the Riverland Road Mobility Improvement Project. Tonight, I will be moderating the question and comment period with Mr. Eric Namadi. Your options to post questions and comments tonight will be through the question panel, and then you can also use the raise hand icon. Once we acknowledge you, you may unmute yourself, and we will allow you to speak your question or comment for the meeting.
I see we have a hand raised, Justina, from Helen Leslie.
Ms. Leslie, at this time, you can go ahead and unmute yourself so we can take your question.
Yes.
Oh,
Hi, sorry about that. So I saw that we're not gonna have sidewalks put in on the south side of Riverland between 31st and the preserve. Is that correct?
Alejandro, can you chime in on that, please?
Yes, the plans will be including the continuous sidewalk will be provided on the left-hand side. So,
Where?
and I mean because the road curves. So when you're going from State Road 7 to Davie Boulevard, it would be on your left-hand side.
That's where it is currently.
Currently, there's sidewalk there, yes. Several portions of it do not meet ADA requirements. It's too narrow. And there are gaps in the sidewalk, and that's where we'll be placing in the 5-foot sidewalk throughout concrete.
Okay, and then how much is it gonna go? It's gonna go into the swale more, so we're not gonna have as much swale for draining roads.
So the sidewalk generally will be placed as close to the right of way as possible, about a foot off, because there is a lot of hedges and tree impacts that we're avoiding by staying a little bit away from the right of way. And yes, it would be meandering as necessary to avoid trees that are in that area. But there would still be, it would be reduced to the existing condition, but there would still be a swale that we will be reshaping between the sidewalk and the roadway.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alejandro. We have another hand up, Avery Worrell. If you could unmute yourself, please.
Hello?
Hi.
You can.
Yeah, how you doing? So, how's everybody doing today? My family, we own the property at 2717 Riverland Road, which is pretty much by Southwest 27th Terrace, right at the corner there. That area there floods during significant precipitation, and to my understanding, your plan will be elevating the sidewalk, the bike lane area will be elevated. Driveway tie-ins will be elevated. I don't see any plans for curing the flooding situation that happens at this convergence, especially with the canal that's right across the street there, especially when there's significant precipitation. That water level rises to the same level as the roadway. So with all of this elevation that you're creating, it's going to worsen the flooding on our property, which during the significant precipitation that occurred this past year and in the year before that on our property, our entire property, which is 1.08 acres, was entirely flooded. So with all of this elevation that you're creating, to me, it just seems like it's going to just make the situation worse. So my question is, what is the plan to cure the flooding that occurs at this convergence point of Riverland Road and Southwest 27th Terrace?
Good evening. This is Eric speaking. Alejandro, would you first like to touch on the improvements in the roadway sidewalk elevations, and we can talk about the drainage concerns?
So concerning the placement of the sidewalk and the bicycle lanes. Sorry, let me share my screen. Concerning the placement of the bicycle lanes and the sidewalks, we are regrading swales to maximize capacity within the right of way and capture the water due to the improvements as part of our project. We are also going to be adjusting inlet locations. Obviously, some of them may be impacted due to the widening of the roadway. And we are installing along the corridor about 430 or 450 linear feet of French drain, where we cannot regrade the swales to accommodate the additional impervious from our project. And Eric is going to be addressing the other drainage issues that occur in this project, which have to do more so with general flooding in the area.
Will the sidewalk be elevated?
One more time, Avery.
Will the sidewalks be elevated?
The sidewalks will be at the ground elevation. They're not going to be elevated, a couple feet above the existing swales or anything. They're going to be at grade. So it'd be very similar to any existing sidewalks that are out there right now.
Okay, so what exactly is going to be elevated? The bike area, the bike lane?
So the bike lane will be at the same elevation as the roadway.
Okay, so it's going to be the same. It's
Right.
going to be the same. It's going to be the same level as what it is now.
Correct. Our project is not elevating the roadway. We're widening the existing roadway to provide bicycle lanes, and then placing sidewalk, which will be at grade with the existing swales, with the existing earth there. We're not placing sidewalks higher than the existing ground.
Okay, so if I can make a suggestion, since you'll be doing significant construction, like I said, at this convergence area of Riverland Road and Southwest 27th Terrace, during significant precipitation, it's like a lake right at this area. I don't know if you're familiar with the intersection that I'm talking about, but the convergence of this area with the canal that's across the street creates a super lake. So to me, if I could make a suggestion, since the ground will be broken and this is the best time to make any construction, you can make a man. This is an idea to make a man-made lake in the park where all of this water can be tunneled to.
Okay. Eric, I don't know if that was something that was mentioned by the city in the drainage plan that the drainage that we're looking to in this corridor.
I'm not sure on that. What I can say is that the department did reach out to the city and Broward County about the larger issue with the flooding and drainage on Riverland Road. The county did provide us FDOT a response earlier today that the county is aware of the recent and past flooding that's occurred at Riverland Road and Southwest 14th Street. The county has collected some drainage data in the area as well, and they have determined that they'll need to do a full comprehensive drainage study that also needs to take in the city of Fort Lauderdale's drainage along the side streets. As these drainage issues involve both the county and city of Fort Lauderdale, county staff are proposing a joint study between the county and the city of Fort Lauderdale. Karen, if you're on with us as well, if you would like to add in, if anything, that the city is also doing with some of the flooding and drainage concerns, please, if you have.
Certainly. So we have actually considered the idea that you said of moving the drainage into the park. There were some challenges with this funding through the federal government being transportation to work on that, but we had that same idea. We also looked at early on the possibility of raising the road, but the impacts to the neighboring properties was too significant at that time. So we look forward to working with the county on possible solutions. And I have also reached out to our Public Works Department about the progress of raising of the seawalls in that area. The city has a new ordinance that requires seawalls to be raised to certain levels and increments. So I'm awaiting the response from them on the nearby seawalls to Riverland Road on this bend.
Okay, so there isn't a study yet?
I'm not aware of how much the county has done on their portion or our Public Works. I have reached out to get that information and we were not able to get it prior to the meeting.
Okay, because I'm just, with all of this construction, I would just imagine that this would be the perfect time to solve that problem. Just, I mean, in my opinion.
Mr. Worrell, what we can do, I have your address is 2017, you said Riverland Road. And we do have your email address?
2717.
2717. Okay,
Yeah,
what I can do, if you'd like, is follow up in writing, because to be honest with the request that you have, there are other agencies that we would need to be able to coordinate a proper response for you with. So I can take, like I said, I have your address, I have your email, and we can follow up with you after the meeting so that they can do, you know, a one-on-one approach based on your address that you provided us.
Yeah, can I give you another email as well?
Sure, if it's okay, if you can type it for me in our question box, we'll have that information so that way I can follow up with you.
Okay, and who am I speaking with right now?
My name is Justina Hickland. I'm the Community Outreach Specialist.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Justine.
Thank you so much.
We have Commissioner Ben Sorensen with his hand raised. Ben, could you unmute yourself, please?
Yeah, thanks so much. I think those are great questions about flooding and stormwater that the gentleman raised. So, Karen, let's we'll connect with Raj. Raj is the head of our Public Works for the city of Fort Lauderdale to talk about the plan and partnering with FDOT and the county. So we as the city of Fort Lauderdale will take the lead in helping coordinate. And then Karen, if we can connect with Justina too, just to make sure we're all communicating, those are all good ideas. And I think to the gentleman's point, the more we can do while we're undergoing this construction, the better. So great points, and we'll work on it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Eric, you also have Mark Cantor with his hand up.
Hi, Mark. We'd like to hear from you. Could you unmute yourself, please?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending. I have several questions, and I do not want to usurp the time, so I'll start with my first question, if you're ready.
Yes.
The first question I have is the system that you are going to be using to identify those trees along Riverland that are going to be removed versus those that are going to be root pruned versus those that will remain. Can you please explain to everyone what that system is going to look like so we will know what remains and what's going to be removed?
Absolutely. We have our landscape design team with us, as well as the urban forester with us. Andrew, from our design team, could you provide us some more details on how we are handling tree impacts?
Absolutely. This is Andrew Pareto, landscape designer. So we coordinated with the roadway engineers and the city to try to have minimum impacts along the roadway, and to do minimum root pruning as well. For the impacts, we're only impacting between 9 trees and 9 palms along the roadway, and also avoiding existing utility impacts along that roadway as well. For the for the root pruning, we went through the whole roadway corridor as well and indicated which trees need to be root pruned, and those would be actually barricaded throughout the site during construction, and they'll be protected during the construction process. If I didn't answer anything else, I can pass it along to William Moeller, as well as Mark Williams, the representative of the city for landscape.
Hi, thanks, Andrew. Just to add on to what Andrew said, we're going to ensure that those trees that are being preserved on site are going to be protected throughout this activity. As Andrew noted, only 18 trees are being removed, and of those 18 trees, 2 of them are invasive exotic tropical almonds. 5 are poor or fair to poor Alexander palms. One of the larger sized trees that is being removed is actually a strangler fig that's actually growing on top of a utility line, which in itself could potentially cause, an issue on site. So just to let you know that the design team, took into consideration the canopy throughout the entire corridor and really designed the sidewalk around that canopy to preserve as much of the canopy as possible.
Okay, I appreciate your effort to preserve and protect the trees that we have here, because as you well know, this community has a deep-rooted regard for our neighborhood and the quality of our neighborhood, the character of our neighborhood. And so anything that may jeopardize that character, we're very much concerned about. The reason we live here is mainly for the water and the trees. I do have another question, but like I said, I want to wait my turn and I don't want to take up all the time. So when you're ready for another question, go ahead.
Mark, if you could, this is Eric. We do have some other hands up as well. If you would like to, you could also put your question in the chat if we don't get back to you, or if you want, we can just take it now if it's quick as well.
Okay, again, I would like to know which trees are going to be removed. Can we tie some kind of a ribbon around them so we know which ones are going to be taken out before they are taken out?
Yes, the project team will be doing that in the upcoming days. That is something that William, did we already start that, or are we about to start doing that later next week, perhaps?
We did not start that yet, but we are going to be flagging or tagging those fair and poor trees that will be removed along the corridor within the next week.
And so can you identify for us those trees that will be removed somehow, some way?
Yes, sir. Those trees that will be removed will be flagged with a orange piece of flagging material.
And what color will it be?
Orange flagging material.
Orange. And so the real pruning trees will be identified with what color? Hello?
Yes.
Do you hear what my question?
The question was, William, if the trees that will be root pruned, if they're going to be flagged, and with what color flag?
We did not initially plan on flagging the trees to be root pruned, but I can talk to the design team, and that is something that can definitely be discussed. They're going to be protected with tree barricades as well.
Okay, so that would be useful for us to know. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Eric, we have a question from Richard Cahoon.
Hi, Richard Cahoon. If you could unmute yourself, please.
can you hear me now? Okay, thank you so much. I live on Cat Cay Lane in Lauderdale Isles, right off of Riverland Road. And I appreciate your having this briefing. I appreciate Commissioner Sorensen's involvement and his immediate responsiveness to questions such as the one proposed. I do have an issue with the way this project has gone forward without community involvement. We had meetings about this. We expressed concerns. We said, please come back to us, give us a preliminary idea of what's going on, and let us get back to you with concerns. So very similar to the gentleman who just called in with some concerns that sounded legitimate. You didn't give us a chance to react to this. You are telling us now what's going to happen in 18 days after all planning has been done. And I think it's just outrageous that you expect us now to react to this and say, well, thank you very much, guys. I just think that the last we heard, 2 trees were going to be removed. Now you tell us it's 18. Well, you guys are doing, what makes government look bad. You're just running roughshod, and you're just not listening to the community. And I have to say I'm very disappointed in that, especially in Karen Werfel's just disregard for whatever we said in the past. But the specific question I have is, you mentioned something about, I believe, 34th Avenue. You were going to have some pedestrian crossing and some kind of flag, I'm not sure what you called it, but you mentioned something about something there, and without any detail, and it sounded like jargon to me. So I'd like you to explain what's going on there. Thank you.
Alejandro Leon, can you chime in for that location, please?
Yes, so in 30, what we are doing is we're replacing, there's 2 existing mid-block crossings that are on span wires. And we're updating those to be on mast arms. So it would be very similar to the just if you go just east of 32nd Terrace, there's an existing mid-block crossing that's currently on mast arm, and that's what would be happening at the other.
Excuse me, Alejandro. I guess that's the type of jargon I don't understand. I'm not sure the terminology you're using or what it means.
Okay, so the existing mid-block crossings, so a crossing not at an intersection at 2 locations on this corridor, are currently on span wires, which is 2 concrete poles with just cables holding up the signal heads.
Thank you for that.
And so those 2 that are in that condition, will be upgraded to be on a solid mast arm, which is the more traditional signal that you see around the county, which is a metal pole with a metal arm holding up the signal head. And it's a much more hardy design, in the sense it's less likely to get damaged by hurricane winds or anything of that nature, high winds and weather, which obviously is an issue in South Florida.
Thank you. And this is a good occasion where I think maybe some feedback would have helped, because what we have is a situation where we have at times there are those traffic lights are there school zones there, and normally there's a school zone time zone, but we don't have a traffic school blinking light there. And it would be nice to coordinate those things, because we get police in there who nab people for speeding in a school zone, but they don't know it's a school zone because there's no blinking light like almost all other school zones. And at this point, I'll say thank you, and I'll stop now. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Richard.
Eric,
I
we have a
think
question from Angela Smith.
Angela Smith, if you can unmute yourself, please. I'd like to also, at this time, thank everybody for being patient with the meeting format. We have all your questions in our chat box as well, where we will provide written responses to them. We just want to make sure everyone who has their hand raised gets to speak and ask their questions. Angela, please.
Ms. Smith, you're unmuted if you would like to speak.
Angela Smith, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you. It appears you are unmuted.
Eric, what we can do, let's go to the next hand raise, and then we'll come back to Ms. Smith to give her the opportunity to speak.
Angela Smith, she wrote in the chat box her microphone is not working, so we'll provide her a written response. I think she asked her question in the chat. We have a hand raised from Scott.
You can go ahead. I'm sorry, Eric. You can go ahead and answer her question. So the first portion of her question is, will there be speed bumps?
There are no speed bumps proposed with this project. The city of Fort Lauderdale is in the process of doing a traffic study regarding speed along Riverland Road. Karen, if you would quickly like to provide an update on that speed study or what the city is doing.
Sure, absolutely, Eric. So we're beyond study. We are in the design process for traffic calming. The city just hired an engineering consultant within the last month to take on that task. We had our kickoff meeting yesterday, and with the preliminary schedule, you all can anticipate a public meeting in mid to late June, where we'll share some preliminary ideas based on all of the public meetings we've had previously, to Mr. Cahoon's point, when we've met at the middle school and heard where the key challenges are. They're going to put some ideas together to start the conversation. We'll do a meeting with you all, and we've collected emails from all of these meetings and interactions, so we'll send it out directly as well as through social media, where we can discuss what some of the ideas are, give revisions, and then following those revisions, we'll continue to come back to you to finalize those plans. And we would anticipate that we can't touch the road until this project's done. So following July of 22 is when we would hope to then begin that construction.
Thank you, Karen. Ms. Smith also has another question that is in the box. She would like to know if there are any plans to tie in the new bike paths with the existing one that starts on the west side of State Road 7, 441.
Buffy from the MPO or Ricardo, I think you guys can better describe how the MPO bike lane regional network works. Ricardo, if you're speaking, you're on mute.
I am here. Oh, what is there?
I'm sorry, Buffy Sanders, principal planner for the MPO. So the goal is to connect to the bike lanes on 441 and then also connect to the bike lanes that are being planned for Broward Boulevard as much as possible. Are you talking about, I'm thinking you're talking about the pathway, to the Greenway? If not, I know the county is in the process of designing a plan to connect the Greenway from one side of the Riverland to the New Way to the New River Greenway.
Yeah, and I can just, this is Karen, or if I can add to Buffy, the latest update we received from the county on that, they'll be placing a bridge close to where 441 goes over the canal. They'll be placing a bridge to connect over to the New River Greenway. They're in the permitting process of that bridge. So that connection will be coming.
Thank you, Karen and Buffy. Justina, we have Ken
You have
and
Helen
Mark.
Leslie. You have Helen Leslie, who's had her hand up for a while.
I think Helen was our first one to speak. I don't know if her hand is still raised because of that.
Did take it off. It was off and it came back on.
Oh, can we go to Ken and Marsha Lynch, please? I have not spoken yet.
Yes.
Ken and Marsha Lynch, if you can unmute yourself, please. I think they're Ken and Marsha Lynch. Are you there? It appears your microphone is still on mute. Justina, can you possibly unmute them?
You're unmuted now, Eric.
Thank you. Ken and Marsha Lynch, are you there with us?
I do see a question in the question panel from Ken and Marsha Lynch. It reads, are you removing existing oak trees? You're specifically asking about oak trees.
Andrew, can you provide a response for that, or William?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, we will be removing one oak tree. That oak tree is currently in poor condition, and it's currently being impacted within the roadway design. So it will just be one oak tree along that whole corridor.
Thank you, Andrew and William.
No problem.
We have Scott DiStefano. Scott DiStefano, please. If you can unmute yourself.
Okay, Eric, Scott also has questions that are in the question panel. So I'll go ahead and read the question from the question panel, which was just addressed by Karen, but I will state the question for the record. Can you address how these modifications will impact speed and traffic counts on Riverland Road? Know that there was something about speed earlier, but we didn't say anything about traffic counts.
Buffy or Alejandro, I don't think we didn't perform any traffic counts on Riverland Road, do we? And I don't think from these improvements we'll expect an increase in traffic, though.
The intent, this is Karen Warfel, the intent would be with especially the traffic calming project, that it would help deter people from speeding through Riverland Road, as well as, if they're cutting through just to go faster, that if we can make it where it's not faster anymore, they may choose to stay on the main arterials where they should be.
Thank you, Karen.
There's also a second question here. I'm just reading this question from Mr. DiStefano into the record. The question is, can you address how the additional paving will impact drainage problems which currently exist on Riverland Road? And just for the record, I will state that the city of Fort Lauderdale did give some detail about following up on existing drainage and flooding issues that they're aware of in the area already. City of Fort Lauderdale is planning to work on answering or addressing the existing issue of flooding. Karen, I don't know if you had anything else to add to that. I just wanted to repeat or summarize what we said earlier. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add.
I do not, but if Alejandro can talk a little bit about the engineering process and how they need to look at the calculations and the impacts to drainage and mitigate for that change.
Thank you.
So as I mentioned, the drainage impacts due to our project are being addressed through some additional French drain, regrading of the swales, and that's addressing the drainage issues caused by our project, that would be caused by our project, but that is independent of the larger study we've been discussing that the city will be doing and the county will be doing on the general drainage issues in this corridor.
Thank you, Alejandro. Justina, we have about 5 minutes left.
Correct. So at this time, what we'll do, because we have another presentation, the presentation that was just provided will be replayed in about 5 minutes. All the questions that we have in our chat box, we will definitely be following up in writing. But if you would like to stay with us, as soon as the presentation plays again, we will be opening up for question and answer. And for anyone whose hand was still up, or if we had any questions in the question panel, we will pick up where we left off at that time. So for any additional questions or comments, you can submit your comments. If your question was not responded to during the event, please follow up with our project team. All comments and questions are a part of the public record. All registrants will receive a link to the meeting recording and presentation slides. Contact information. Here we have contact information for our construction project team. Mr. Eric Namadi, the FDOT construction manager, his email is eric.namadi@dot.state.fl.us. His phone number is 954-958-7671. We have Mr. David Romano, who is the project administrator. His email is david.romano@hdrinc.com. And his phone number is 786-264-3871. And then you have myself, Justina Hicklin. I am the community outreach specialist. And my email address is justina@Valerian-group. You can reach me also at 954-940-7585. And if you need to review this PowerPoint presentation, it will be uploaded to the GoToWebinar for download.
Thank you for attending tonight's virtual public meeting for the Riverland Road Mobility Improvement Project. Again, I would like to just thank everybody for their questions and comments. We have all your written comments like Justina mentioned and questions. We will provide written responses to those as well. If we didn't get to your hand raised, we are running a little bit tight on time again. So I just would like if you could hang around for our second public meeting starting here shortly. We'll definitely also continue with the question and answer session again. Thank you all. Good evening, everybody. Today is April 22nd, 2021. This is the virtual public meeting for the Riverland Road Mobility Improvement Project. This is a U.S. Department of Transportation Investment Generating Economic Recovery Tiger Grant, Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization, MPO Complete Streets Design Build. This is Riverland Road Southwest 27th Avenue from State Road 7, US 441 to State Road 842, Broward Boulevard. The financial project ID for this project is 440746-5-5201. At this time, if we have any city commissioners with us, if you could please raise your hand and introduce yourself tonight. At this time, I would like to introduce Ricardo Gutierrez from the Broward MPO. Justina, just to confirm, I didn't see any commissioner hands.
I did not either.
Ricardo.
Let me unmute myself. Thank you, Eric. And again, Ricardo Gutierrez, Mobility Program Manager at the Broward MPO. So the Broward MPO is a government agency whose main responsibilities is to plan and fund transportation here in Broward. We are governed by a MPO board that's made up of elected officials representing all 31 municipalities, Broward County government, the school board, and also the South Florida Regional Transportation Authority, who operate our commuter tri-rail service here in the Tri-County region. The way we identify projects, we typically develop plans, conduct studies, establish initiatives, and develop programs to help us identify where we need to invest our funding. One of the things that we did in 2013, we established this Complete Streets Initiative. The main goal of that initiative is really to look at our transportation system a little different, thinking about people and how they move. That people don't just drive, they walk, they bike, and take transit. And the reason why we're excited about that concept is because of the benefits that we get when we plan our streets for everybody. You know, we get safer streets for all the users, we get healthy communities because we provide access to different destinations along these corridors, to to places like the parks, schools, and churches and things like that. And also, the economic development at projects like this have been known to revitalize corridors and areas. One of the things to help us with that effort, in 2016, we actually applied for some federal funds to help us implement some projects. And we were awarded some funds, and we applied together with the city of Fort Lauderdale and other 4 local agencies. So that's part of this project that we're going to talk to you about today. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Looking forward to seeing this project into fruition. So I'll be here to answer questions that you may have later on in the presentation. Thank you again.
This evening's agenda will include the following: introductions, meeting format, non-discrimination policy, rules of engagement, project location and project improvements, project overview, traffic impacts, community outreach, questions and answers, and contact information. Introductions. The project partners are the Florida Department of Transportation, the Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization, and the City of Fort Lauderdale. The construction team consists of Eric Namati, PE, FDOT Construction Project Manager, David Romano, PE, Project Administrator, HDR, and Justina Hicklin, Community Outreach Specialist, the Valerian Group. The design team includes Tuck Lee, PE, FDOT Design Project Manager, Alejandro Leon, PE, Design Build Project Manager, A&P Consulting Transportation Engineers, Andrew Parita, Landscape Designer, Miller Legg, and William Moeller, CA, arborist, biologist, Miller Legg. The construction contractor is Elliott Akel, project manager, Weekly Asphalt Paving Incorporated. With the City of Fort Lauderdale are Karen Warfel, Transportation Planning Program Manager for the City of Fort Lauderdale, and Mark Williams, Urban City Forester, City of Fort Lauderdale. With the Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization are Ricardo Gutierrez, Mobility Program Manager, Broward MPO, and Buffy Sanders, Principal Planner, Broward MPO. Meeting format. Before we start the presentation, I will share a few items regarding this meeting's format. Due to the state of emergency declared by Governor DeSantis in Executive Order 2052 as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is authorized to be held virtually and not in person. There will be a presentation and questions and answers from 5 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. and 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. There will be an unguided slideshow from 5:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. We are using the GoToWebinar meeting platform for the meeting. There is no cost to the public to log in or dial in to participate in the meeting. On your computer or device screen, you should see something that looks like this in the upper right corner. To listen to the meeting, your computer or device speakers are selected by default. If you prefer to listen by phone, select telephone in the audio pane of the control panel and dial in using the information displayed. Public notice for this virtual public meeting, including information on how to access the meeting platform, was provided via U.S. Postal Mail to property owners and tenants in the project area, on social media feeds, on the district's website, and on the Florida Administrative Register. Non-discrimination policy. At this point, I will read the FDOT non-discrimination policy. The Florida Department of Transportation complies with various non-discrimination laws and regulations, including Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Public participation is solicited without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. For questions or concerns, you may contact either the Florida Department of Transportation, District 4, Title VI Coordinator, Sharon Singhayan, 3400 West Commercial Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33309. Telephone number 954-777-4190. Email sharon.singhayan@dot.state.fl.us. Or the Tallahassee office, Florida Department of Transportation, State Title VI Coordinator, Jacqueline Paramore, 605 Swanee Street, MS 65, Tallahassee, Florida, 32399. Telephone number 850-414-4753. Email jacqueline.paramore@dot.state.fl.us. Rules of engagement. Before the presentation starts, I will briefly go over the rules of engagement that were established for this virtual public meeting. This virtual public meeting is being recorded. If you experience technical difficulties, please contact GoToWebinar support at 1-833-851-8340. All attendees will remain muted throughout this virtual public meeting. At the end of the presentation, attendees are also welcome to submit any questions or comments using the GoToWebinar platform's question panel, and a member of the team will respond during the question and answer portion. To request to speak, click the raise hand button on the control panel and unmute your microphone when your name is called. At this time, I will leave you with the construction project administrator, Mr. David Romano.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you. This is slide number 14. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the project location and the proposed project improvements. Next slide, please. The enhancements are taking place along Riverland Road, Southwest 27th Street, from US 441, State Road 7, to Broward Boulevard, State Road 842 in the city of Fort Lauderdale. The purpose of the project is to create enhanced bicycle, pedestrian, and public transportation access. Construction will begin May 10th of this year with an anticipated completion date of summer of 2022 at a construction cost of $5.8 million. The contractor that will be performing the project improvements is Weekly Asphalt Paving, Inc. Next slide, please. Slide number 16. The project improvements consist of widening the outside northbound lane from State Road 7 441 to Tortugas Lane to accommodate 5-foot buffered bicycle lanes. Similarly, we are widening from Tortugas Lane to Davie Boulevard, State Road 736 along the outside lanes to accommodate 5-foot buffered bicycle lanes and a 3-foot unpaved shoulders. We will be performing driveway tie-ins and reconstruction as needed. And we will be repurposing the outside lanes from State Road 736, Davie Boulevard, to State Road 842, Broward Boulevard, to accommodate 8.5-foot buffered bicycle lanes. We are also going to be installing traffic signal mast arms and pedestrian signalization improvements located at the mid-block crossings at Southwest 34th Terrace and just north of Southwest 11th Court. We will also be installing sidewalks, signage, curb, and gutter. We will be milling and resurfacing the pavement and adding pavement markings, including internally illuminated raised pavement markings to further enhance the bicycle lane. Next slide, please. At this time, I would like to introduce Alejandro Leon. He is the design build engineer of record to discuss project overview and components.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to be starting here on slide 18. This is an existing picture of Southwest 27th Avenue, the typical that you can see between Davie Boulevard and Broward Boulevard. As you can see, the existing condition is a 5-lane undivided facility with 2 lanes in each direction and a 2-way left turn lane in the middle. Next slide. The proposed condition will repurpose the outside lane to serve as a buffered bicycle lane. 3 travel lane, the road will remain as a 3-lane undivided facility with 2-way left turn lane in the center. Next slide, please. This is a night view of the same location, meant to point out the internally illuminated RPMs, which will be placed to delineate the bicycle lanes that are being installed. Next slide. Okay, slide 21. This is a picture of Riverland Road between Southwest State Road 7 and Davie Boulevard. The existing condition is a 2-lane undivided facility with sidewalk on primarily one side of the corridor. It's a mix of asphalt and concrete on the sidewalk. Next slide, please. The proposed condition, the roadway will remain a 2-lane undivided facility, but the roadway will be widened to provide 5-foot buffered bicycle lanes in each direction. Next slide. Slide 23. This is a nighttime view of the same location, again to accentuate the internally illuminated RPMs that will be placed in the buffer in between the proposed bicycle lanes and the travel lane. Next slide. So this is the proposed, a more pictorial proposed view of Riverland Road. This is between State Road 7 and Tortugas Lane. The road will have 2 10-foot lanes in each direction, 5-foot buffered bicycle lanes in each direction, and sidewalks in both directions 7 foot on the right-hand side, and 6 foot on the left-hand side. Next slide, please. From Tortugas Lane to 31st Avenue, we'll start the open swale section. As you can see, the roadway will be widened to provide 2 10-foot travel lanes and 2 5-foot buffer bicycle lanes in each direction. We will provide 3 feet of unpaved shoulder and regrade the swales, providing 5-foot sidewalk, in each direction. Next slide. This is the typical of the roadway between Southwest 31st Avenue and Davie Boulevard. The roadway typical will remain the same. There'll be 2 10-foot lanes in each direction, 5-foot buffered bicycle lanes, and making the sidewalk on the left-hand side of the corridor continuous, a 5-foot sidewalk from 31st to Davie Boulevard. Slide 27. This is a typical of the bridge at South North New River. We will be removing the 2 concrete curbs that are currently on the bridge and redistributing the travel lanes on the existing bridge to provide the 2 10-foot travel lanes in each direction, 5.5-foot buffered bicycle lanes in each direction, and maintaining a 6-foot walking path on the left side of the bridge. The existing bridge will not be widened. Next slide. Slide 28. This is the proposed typical section that we'll be using on Southwest 27th Avenue between Davie Boulevard and Broward Boulevard. As you can see, the outside lanes have been repurposed to provide buffered bicycle lanes, and the road will remain as a three-lane undivided facility with a 2-way left turn lane in the center. In general, within this section, the existing sidewalks will remain except for ADA improvements at the corners. Next slide. And now I'll be passing it to Eric Ramadi.
Thank you, Alejandro. Traffic impacts for this project can be expected as the following. Lane closures may occur from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Sunday through Saturday. All left turns will be maintained during construction. Access to emergency services, businesses, and residents will be maintained at all times. I'd like to move on now to our community outreach efforts as a part of this project. Next slide, please.
Community outreach. The community outreach specialist, Justina Hicklin, will distribute project updates via email and door-to-door as needed. Traffic impacts will be included in the Florida Department of Transportation District 4 Communications Manager's weekly traffic impact press release. The project team will meet with city and county officials, community groups, and property owners regarding project updates as needed. All project updates will be posted to the District 4 website and provided to the City of Fort Lauderdale's Public Involvement Office. Questions and answers. At this time, we will go ahead and start the question and answer portion. All comments and questions submitted through these options are part of the public record for this virtual public meeting and will be reviewed by the department. Attendees are welcome to submit questions or comments using the GoToWebinar question panel.
Good evening. My name is Justina Hicklin, and I will be the Community Outreach Specialist for the Riverland Road Mobility Improvement Project. Tonight, I will be moderating the question and comment period with Mr. Eric Namadi, who is the project manager. So at this time, we do have some questions that came over from our first period. You may either continue to type questions into the question panel or use the raise hand icon. At this time, I do see a new question from Mr. Michael Smith. Mr. Smith, at this time, you may go ahead and unmute yourself to ask your question.
Good evening, Michael Smith. Can you hear us?
Okay, Eric, I'm not sure if Mr. Smith is having technical difficulties. What we can do is go ahead to the next question that we have in the chat. It appears that the other hands that we have raised were never moved from the last meeting. So I'm just going to go ahead to the next question that we have. If anyone does have a question, again, you can press the raise hand icon. We'll acknowledge you and you may unmute yourself. We have a question from Mark Samples. How will the future traffic easing improvements be added to this construction? And again, I know this is something we went over earlier. I don't know if you wanted to answer this one, Karen, regarding the traffic easing improvement.
Certainly. This is Karen Warfel, the city's Transportation and Planning Program Manager. The traffic calming elements that we are working to design now, we're just kicked off this week, will come in after this larger Tiger funded project that the DOT is doing. So it'll come in after. Likely things that we're looking at are not just just speed humps, but whole raised intersections. So those would be, you know, pavement added on top to make like a big speed hump for people to slow down. So it's fine to just put them right after this project comes through.
Thank you, Karen. The next hand that I see raised here is Mark Cantor. Mark Cantor, if you can unmute yourself if you're with us, or if you could ask.
Yes, yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So, yes, thank you for taking my question. I guess my question is not so much for Karen as it is for FDOT representative about the current Riverland Road classification, FDOT classification for Riverland Road. It's my understanding it's right now called a major collector. Is that correct?
Alejandro or Karen, would you guys happen to know that?
I don't know the classification off the top of my head. It is some level of collector, yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is Buffy from the Broward NPO. Yes, right now it is considered a major collector.
Okay, that's what I thought. So having said that, there's been an interest, local interest movement to reclassify it with FDOT to minor collector, or possibly even down to the local road classification. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't have a thought one way or the other. The only problem I will say there is a chance if you go down to a local road that you might end up losing federal funds if a disaster happens. Is there usually the funds are going out to roadways that are considered arterial or to collector. Might be one of the downsides to that. Outside of that, Mr. Cantor, it's between the city to decide working with FDOT.
Thank you. And since you mentioned that, the city currently now is in talks, discussions with the county and the state about the future of Riverland Road as far as who is going to maintain all of it from 441 north to Broward. As you well know, we have 3 jurisdictions, state, county, and city. And so it would be wise for the city, if possible, to maintain all of it down the road in the future. Karen, how are we doing with that issue?
We still have the intent to do that in the future. We have worked through the process of the DOT portion. So a big part of taking on that responsibility is understanding what the utilities are involved in their conditions. So we have done that with DOT. We've done inspections of the different drainage systems and the detention basin on the west side, and our Public Works Department has signed off that everything is in okay condition. We were held up with the DOT's legal department. They had some challenges and staff changes, so it got delayed a little bit there, but we're still moving forward. The county portion, I think, is going to be a little bit more challenging with the drainage issues that are happening there. So we will continue to work through those with the county, as the commissioner said, and we're working on meetings and coordinating that. But the long-term plan is still to take over ownership of that whole portion.
Great. Glad to hear that. The small bridge on Riverland Road, when I look at that proposed change in construction for that bridge, it looks like you're going to have a bike lane on both the north and south side of the bridge, but only a walkway on the south side, a 6-foot walkway on the south side. Is that correct?
Alejandro?
So yes, the sidewalk is being proposed to be continuous on the south side, on the left-hand side of the bridge, and that's where we will be providing the pedestrian walkway.
However, the sidewalk is going to be located on the north side of the bridge, correct?
Let me get my bearings a second because of no. Okay, so yes, the sidewalk is going to be proposed on the walkway is on the left hand, on the north hand side of the bridge, where the proposed sidewalk is.
Okay, maybe I just didn't see the diagram correctly. Can you put it back up for us?
One moment, please.
So if you want to pretend you were standing on the road and looking at this picture, you will be standing facing towards Davie Boulevard. So you would have State Road 7 behind you.
I'm sorry, which direction is north here? The left side is north?
Yes, the left is north. If you were standing on the bridge looking and you
Okay.
saw this view, you would be heading towards Davie Boulevard.
Okay, the way I'm looking at it, looks like the walkway is on the wrong side, but okay, so the walkway, it will be contiguous with the sidewalk we have currently, only larger, wider. Okay.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mark. Ken and Marsha Lynch, if you could unmute yourself, please. Good evening, Ken and Marsha Lynch. I see that you're unmuted. Are you able? We can't hear you.
Eric, they also have a question that's written in the question panel. The question reads, please tell me the location of the oak tree that is being removed.
Andrew and William, are you guys able to provide that?
If you can just give me 1 second, I can review the plan for it.
Hi, this is William Moeller with Meadowleg, Certified Arborist. The oak tree that's being proposed to be removed is nearest the bridge. That bridge actually we were just discussing on the north side, and it's leaning. It has codominant leaders. It's in poor condition. The majority of the trees actually that are being removed are in that close proximity to that small bridge. including invasive exotic trees and the strangler fig that we discussed earlier in the previous meeting that is actually growing on top of a utility line. Once again, those trees that are being removed are not large trees, or mostly smaller sized trees and in fair and poor condition. Thanks.
Thank you, William. I would like to add to that the project team will be tagging the trees that are to be removed with the orange ribbon tape that should be starting in the next couple of days. They'll be putting an orange tape around trees that are to be removed. We have a total of 18, correct, William?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ken and Marsha Lynch.
Eric, you also have a question from Michael Smith.
Okay. Good evening, Michael Smith. Are you with us? Can you unmute yourself?
Wrote about, it was all I wanted. It was the complete and total belief system that I subscribed to as a kid. Do the right thing, do the good thing. And obviously I'm not a perfect person by any stretch, but overall.
Hello, Michael Smith.
Okay, so Michael Smith also has questions that are typed into the question panel. I will go ahead and read the first question that we have here. Why is this project running through the pristine area of Riverland Road from Broward Boulevard to 441? The project is better suited to run from Broward Boulevard down 31st Avenue to Riverland Road than west to 441. So basically, Mr. Smith is asking about the location of the project. Why is it at that location?
Buffy, can you provide us some history on how this specific corridor was selected? Or Ricardo?
Buffy Sanders, Principal Planner for the Broward NPO. We were tasked with going after a target grant application, and we looked at corridors and in the effort to try to complete one of our regional networks. Riverland Road was one of the segments. Riverland and Southwest 27th was one of those segments that was identified in the effort to complete one of our networks, and it will provide a multimodal facility for all users. And so with the help, with conversations with Broward County and Fort Lauderdale, it was agreed upon to put Riverland Road in the application process.
Thank you, Buffy. Next, I'd like to go to Avery Worrell. Avery Worrell, if you could unmute yourself.
Eric, I believe that may be from earlier.
Okay.
You also have Audrey Edwards, which we haven't heard from yet this evening.
Audrey Edwards, if you could unmute yourself, please.
Hi there. This is Audrey. If 18 trees are being removed, are they being replanted along Riverland Road or perhaps moved into Riverland Woods Park?
William and Andrew.
Yes, this is Andrew Pareto with Middle Atlantic Landscape Designer. So we coordinated with the city on the mitigation for those trees. Currently, we coordinated to mitigate it within the park, the Riverland Park that there is there. For now, if that's not a prime location, we can further coordinate with the city for another additional location to plant those mitigated trees within the site.
Thank you, because the Riverland Preserve Park already has over 400 trees in it right now. Whereas the Riverland Woods Park down at the other end on the, towards 441, that could use some more trees in there.
Okay, we can take that into consideration with further coordination with the city for
Thank you.
those additional mitigations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey.
Eric, you also have a question from Denise Jones.
Good evening, Denise Jones. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Can you speak up, please? It's really low.
Okay, I just had a question as far as the landscaping is concerned from Davie Boulevard to Broward Boulevard on 27th Avenue. Are there any plans for any beautification? I mean, it looks very industrial, so is it going to remain that way? Or are planters or any kind of design for the median in place?
This is Karen Warfel. I can take that question. So with this project, we will not be putting medians in. However, we have been coordinating with the county, that's actually their road in that area, to add landscaped median islands from Davie to Broward Boulevard. So that will be coming as a follow-up project to beautify that corridor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Denise, and thank you, Karen.
Okay, Eric, at this time, I don't see any other hands raised. I just want to quickly address some of the questions that we do have in our question panel. We have a question that I know.
Sorry.
I'm sorry?
Mark Cantor has his hand raised.
Okay, you can go ahead and address him.
Yes, the bicycle illuminated devices in the roadway. Karen, you and I, we talked about this before. Is it the case that that's still on the plan, and we're going to have that installed, or is the city unwilling to maintain that in the future?
They are back in the plans, and the county has committed to maintaining those.
Okay, so they will be replacing them as needed. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, we have a question from Earl Presley. Just wanted to know when the project is going to start. Either Elliot or David, if you could provide the current construction start date for Riverland Road.
Yeah, I could take that question, Justina. Thank you. Yeah, the construction project is going to begin in the next several weeks, May the 10th of 2021. That's when we'll see the contractor mobilizing to the job site, and the expected completion is summer of 2022.
Thank you, David.
Okay, we also have a question from, now I'm gonna ask these together. Karen, I know you went over this earlier as well, but we do have several questions regarding speed from Giovanna Kraft. First question is, what speed reduction measures will be put in place?
And I think, yes, this is Karen Warfel from the city of Fort Lauderdale. I think, Justina, you had spoke to some of it in the chat that I didn't mention, is that with this project, the speed limit will be reduced to 30 miles an hour instead of 35. The project will also be adding some speed radar feedback signs where if you're going above the speed limit, they flash at you and tell you that you're going too fast to slow down. And then additionally, the city will be designing some larger traffic calming efforts we just kicked off with our consultant this week. So we anticipate with their schedule, they're reviewing all of the previous information that we've heard over the last several years. They're going to put some ideas together. It has not been finalized what those might look like. We're looking to them to be creative and what would address the areas of most speeding along the corridor. We will come out again, a similar virtual meeting where they can share some of their ideas with you all. We have all of your contact information, and we will send you notice of that meeting to look at their preliminary ideas, give us all your feedback and input, and send them back to the drawing board to finalize those ideas, and then come out again when they have their final ideas. So there will be some public input in that process, and there will be a variety of items for traffic calming.
Thank you, Karen. She was asking if the speed will specifically be addressed from 31st to Davie Boulevard. So will that be also in the area of consideration for what you have upcoming between 31st?
Yes, we will, yeah, we'll be looking all the way from 441 to Davie Boulevard.
Thank you.
And then the schedule, I don't remember if I said it, but the schedule of when we think that public outreach will happen is towards the end of June, mid to late June. So look forward to that meeting then.
Thank you. Team, Ms. Kraft is also asking if there's going to be any lighting improvements from 31st to the bridge. If there will be any lighting improvements from 31st to the bridge.
So our project is not proposing any roadway lighting in this corridor. However, we are proposing the internally illuminated RPMs, which should delineate the roadway clearly, even though there is no roadway lighting, and will also serve to provide as a reminder between, a reminder of the separation between the bicycle lane and the travel lane.
Can you maybe go to one of the night examples to show what it will look like?
Yeah, that could be a good idea. And maybe go to the one on the first section, the section on the southern end of Riverland. So the second night shot is more similar to what's going to be in the area that the person was questioning. That one.
Yeah.
So we're not proposing any roadway lighting, but as you can see, the illuminated RPMs will help guide traffic in the curves that are in this area, because of the nighttime. At night with no lighting, it's beneficial to guide for the turn movements, and would also serve to delineate the separation between the bicycle lane and the travel lane.
So they're little glowing things in the road is what internally illuminated reflectors are.
So normally reflectors, if you think of any roadway, have the reflectors that catch your headlights as you're driving and reflect back at you at night. In this case, they're solar units, so they actually have LEDs within them that will remain illuminated throughout the night.
Thank you. Now, we'll be wrapping up pretty soon, but we do have two questions from Mr. Jonathan Bennett. So Mr. Bennett's question is, at Riverland Road, 440 and 441, there's a sidewalk south that goes nowhere. He wants to know if there will be a plan to connect the sidewalk to the greenway and eventually give the neighborhood access to the greenway.
Alejandro.
I believe that was discussed earlier by Karen concerning I believe the question is discussing the connection to the New River Greenway on the south side of the canal, and Karen was discussing about that project currently in the permitting phase to provide a bridge at that location.
No, I think he's discussing the sidewalk to nowhere that we discussed in the project. For right now in this project, there will be a new crosswalk added at that location by the storage facility to go from the west to the east side of the road. We were not able to fit a sidewalk in that portion due to the drainage detention basin through there. But it will remain something that's on our list to try to work on in the future.
Thank you. His final question is, typically neighborhood naming signs are provided by the city. However, as several along this route and several are missing, can beautification neighborhood signs be included?
This is Karen Warfel from the city. Beautification signs are something generally that are separate projects, and through our neighbor support and at an additional expense. If there are just standard roadway signs that need to be upgraded, feel free to send them to me and we can forward them to the county to reinstall them.
Thank you, Karen. So at this time,
I'll just share my email. I don't know if it was on any of the slides, but my email is KWAR, F as in Frank, EL, at fortlauderdale.gov, spelled out FORT.
Thank you.
We have a
At this-
hand up. Oh, sorry, Christina.
You can go ahead and acknowledge that hand here.
Mark Cantor, I see you have your hand raised again. If you can unmute yourself. Go ahead, Justina.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Mark.
Okay. So, Karen, you and I and your former colleague, Diana Ellicon, 5 years ago, we were looking at Riverland Road in great detail. I'm sure you recall the traffic accident study map that we put together.
Yes.
Wherein it showed all the different accidents on Riverland Road over the years, and the location and the alarm number and the time of day and so on and so forth. So having said all of that, I guess I'm wondering, or maybe I should say a little more concerned, because of the Big Bend issue, the fact that it's poorly lit, especially at night, and I guess I'm concerned that there's no barrier between the vehicle traffic and the bike lane. And I'm wanting to ask, has anyone considered putting some kind of a curb there on the curve for that issue?
For the bike lanes. We haven't, and one of the big issues with that in this area, Mark, is the drainage and how it would impede drainage off the road. But then I think what we should do with the traffic calming project that we have coming is look at lighting. As you remember, when we did the previous meetings at the middle school, it was kind of a split response on more lighting or not. So we can look at maybe targeted lighting, like you said, at this bend is maybe critical to add a street light to and include that as part of the traffic calming project.
Yeah, for some reason, I'm not exactly sure why, when vehicles hit that little bridge coming from the west toward the east, it's pedal to the metal, and they will pass my house on the curve at 80, 90, 100 miles an hour without any problem at all. So yeah, I have a concern for that. Thank you.
If I may, using these internally illuminated RPMs that are being proposed, are actually normally used as a standard countermeasure at tight curves because they do accentuate the curvature of the roadway at night. So I recommend that the city, when they do their analysis, once these are installed, that they take that into account and do the analysis after the fact to see how effective the RPMs have been at reducing the possibility of the road crashes in the area.
Alejandro, I appreciate your comments, and I wish what you were saying was true. But living here 30 plus years or 40 years, we've seen a lot of crashes here, and so my sense of things are that really is not going to stop these crazy drivers, distracted drivers. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we're going to go ahead and end our meeting for tonight. If you have any additional questions or concerns, you can submit questions to our project team via email, and we will follow up with you following the meeting.
I'd like to add one thing, Justina. The presentation will be available. That was one of our questions. I just saw you answered it, Justina. Like Justina mentioned, any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you again, everybody, for participating tonight and being patient with the ability to speak. Can we go to our last slide, please?
Okay, again, if you have any additional questions or concerns regarding the Riverland Road Mobility Improvement Project, here displayed on the screen is the construction team's contact information. We have first Mr. Eric Namati, the construction project manager. His email address is eric.namati@dot.state.fl.us. His phone number is 954-958-7671. Then we have Mr. David Romano, who is the project administrator. His email is david.romano@hdrinc.com. His phone number is 786-264-3871. And then my contact information, my name is Justina Hicklin. I'll be the community outreach specialist for this project, is justina@valerian-group.com. And then my phone number is 954-940-7585. And this presentation will be uploaded to the GoToWebinar for download. You should also receive an email in the coming days after this presentation with the recording. Thank you for attending tonight's virtual public meeting for the Riverland Road Mobility Improvement Project.
Thank you, everybody.